Good evening, Bowser, and good evening, Nintendo fans. I bet you all were patiently waiting for today's episode, just like I was patiently waiting for Nintendo to drop that Animal Crossing update trailer. And it didn't come. But no matter, we have plenty to discuss in terms of what's to come for Zelda's 35th anniversary on Nintendo Switch, a very cool LEGO set that could become reality with your help, and a very important Nintendo man who retired today. What's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. I'm rocking wild apple sarsaparilla because we're keeping this show wild and fresh every single freaking day of the week. Let me know, the Zelda anniversary, it's a big deal. If you want, from this anniversary, Breath of the Wild 2 most, hit that like button. And if you want anything else most, let me know what it is in the comments down below. But before we talk Link and his legendary anniversary, let's discuss this awesome Metroid LEGO set. If you're not familiar, LEGO has this ideas website where you're able to kind of make and suggest your own LEGO creations, and if they become popular enough and garner enough fan support, they can become reality. Now, I think there's a few more hurdles given that this is a Nintendo property, but I will say they did make a whole lot of super awesome Mario-themed LEGO sets, and they just announced another one this week. This would be hot. And how perfect in time as we prepare for Metroid Prime 4 and the inevitable Metroid Prime trilogy on Switch. I love the design, the awesome ship, the little figures. Oof. This would be so sweet and look so good on a shelf that you cannot see because there's a green screen, but I promise you it's there. I say go vote for it. There's a link in the description down below. Samus Aran's gunship needs 10,000 votes to be taken into serious consideration, but Takaya Imamura didn't need 10,000 characters. No, he just needed 3 main ones, and he became a man of legend at Nintendo. Imamura is the father of such wonderful Nintendo faces as Star Fox, Captain Falcon, and Tingle. Yes, Tingle. For some reason, Tingle is the one that's getting all the airplay, and I'm not quite sure why, because frankly, Star Fox and Captain Falcon, they're a lot bigger deals. They've got their own games, and boy, would I love to see F-Zero return in some capacity. Hey, I'd even take Star Fox. I have a soft spot for Star Fox Adventures on GameCube. I know that game is very odd and kind of betrays the normal Star Fox genre preference, but I'd love to see them expand upon it. Alas, Tingle, he made him as well. That guy's not in Smash Brothers, although he is sort of just not a playable character. But more importantly, after 32 years at Nintendo, Mr. Imamura retired today. And he stated poetically, "I took a selfie with the empty office. I'll miss it." And we'll miss you, Mr. Imamura. Thank you for all your cool characters, even the moon. You know, the one from Majora's Mask that may have given me a nightmare as a child. We still appreciate you. Thank you so much. You are forever a legend. Now that those nuggets are out of the way, let's dive deep into the dungeons of the Legend of Zelda and its 35th anniversary. Fans are starting to get antsy because we've heard about Pokemon's 25th. We know Mario's 35th is drawing to a close, but where is Link? What's going to happen with this franchise during its big year? Well, it seems like a lot is going to happen, but it has not begun yet. So I wanted to take a look at what we might expect, because the Mario 35th Direct can be kind of a template. And if you look at what they announced, it was divided into 4 major categories: merchandise, classic games, re-releases, and new titles. So as I mentioned at the top, the new title that we'd all love is Breath of the Wild 2. And if you want that most, leave a like. If you want any of the rest of the stuff most, please comment and tell me why. Now, in terms of merchandise, I don't expect as much as Mario received in terms of like, hey, a Levi's partnership and a shoe partnership and games and LEGO. They really went all out. The Game & Watch. I mean, we'll be lucky if we get a few toys and perhaps a Pro Controller, although I'd really love the latter. Now, in terms of classic games, this is where it gets really interesting to me, because they can go a number of routes, and whichever one they choose will open up a new path for Nintendo Switch. Either they go N64 and drop Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask, thereby opening up the N64 Virtual Console as a part of an expanded Nintendo Switch Online, or, and I kind of prefer this, I think, they deliver Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons, opening Game Boy games onto the Nintendo Switch Online service. Now, I'd love to see just everything, right? Minish Cap is one of my personal favorites, but I think these are the 2 paths that Nintendo will pick from. Either N64 and use Zelda to usher that era onto the eShop, or Game Boy. And I think I'd almost rather have Game Boy just because I have less familiarity with those Zelda games and I think they would be more fun to explore. Plus, I often find that top-down titles translate better to the modern era, as we saw with Link's Awakening. What a fantastic recreation of a Game Boy game. Now, I assure you that Oracle of Ages and Seasons will not be redone in such a fantastic and fanciful style, but it still would be great to play those games, and I bet a lot of you missed out on that era of Link. I'm a movie guy, so I've missed theaters quite a bit, but I'm pretty psyched that HBO Max is bringing films straight to the viewers, and they slid Godzilla vs. King Kong up 2 months, which I'm not expecting great things from, but at this point, like any big theatrical release, I'm hungry for it. I haven't had that theater-going, popcorn-eating experience in so long, and even catching Soul in my basement on Christmas Day was such a treat, so I'm very excited to see all these films coming straight to our streaming services. Is there any movie you're specifically looking forward to? I also think there's some chance that the 3DS versions of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask could somehow make their way to Switch without the 3D edition, as part of a larger Zelda Collection re-release. Now, I think the one that everyone expects is a Wind Waker HD, Twilight Princess HD, Skyward Sword HD collection. That seems the most logical and probably the most likely. I've heard some things about releasing Skyward Sword HD as a standalone title, kind of a la Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury, just without the plus, but I think a collection is more likely given what we've seen from the Mario anniversary. Now, a collection that compiles Wind Waker, Twilight Princess, and Skyward Sword, that's a ton of game and would be a really great value. I would hope they'd sell them separately, but again, based on what they did with Mr. M, it's not gonna happen. Full remakes would be fantastic, but I bet we see more of a fresh coat of paint, similar to Galaxy, Sunshine, and 64. Or they make a big Zelda collection and throw in the N64 games, the GameCube games, like they just do it all, but that doesn't seem like Nintendo. Perhaps there could be 2 collections, one that chronicles the older Zelda games and one that chronicles the newer Zelda games, but now we're really expanding to so many titles and that could be overwhelming, especially if they do in fact have a new game in 2021, which I think has to be Breath of the Wild 2. Now, it's fun to consider for a moment a Zelda spin-off, but we did get Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, and I think that totally holds down that slot. I wouldn't complain if there was a Zelda racer after seeing his motorbike in Breath of the Wild, or a Zelda party game, or a Zelda sports game. I'm really big on Hyrule snowboarders. I think that'd be absolutely amazing and freaking icy cool. But alas, it's gonna be Breath of the Wild 2 or nothing. Now, I predict that Breath of the Wild 2 launches in September alongside a Switch Pro as Nintendo looks to create the launch fanfare they had with the original Breath of the Wild back in 2017. But what do you think? Is Breath of the Wild 2 going to be a COVID casualty and move to 2022? How long will Zelda's anniversary exist for, and when do they even start it? It seems like they would want to begin after Mario wraps, so we're talking post-March 31st. At that point, could they begin in April and release a collection in May? Or is it something they want to save for the second half of the year? That is TBD, and we know that Nintendo isn't going to be doing a general direct anytime soon, but a Zelda presentation, totally plausible. Remember, for Mario's 35th presentation, they just used trailers, and that's a lot easier to assemble during these trying times. Out of everything, Breath of the Wild 2 is what I want most. Brand new Zelda, bold Zelda, build in some dungeons, maybe even co-op, playable Zelda herself, please. But also, I'm super intrigued by the possibility of getting Game Boy Zelda games on the Switch. I think they'd just be really fun to play on the go, don't you? There's also a strange Dark World alternate timeline where the Zelda re-releases are Spirit Tracks and Tingle's Rosy Rupee Land, which would be the weirdest Zelda collection you could possibly assemble. Sorry, Mr. Imamura. There's so much potential and so much to be excited for with Zelda's 35th anniversary and this entire year. Gosh, it's going to be steeped in Nintendo nostalgia with all the celebrations. So I want to hear from you in the comments. What are you guys and girls looking forward to? Let me know, and go vote for that LEGO set, please. That'll do it for another episode of Good Evening Bowser. Thanks so much for being here. Hope you guys enjoyed the episode. If you did, drop a like. I appreciate all of you. Hope you're staying safe, staying healthy, and staying smart out there. Thanks again. Until next time, I hope Mario will be okay. SwitchForce out.